Yo, for sure.
Yeah. Uh, that was some good
Absolutely.
times.
We
Yes,
did have
that
some good
was.
times.
All right, we
We
are
had some good
live on
times.
Facebook now, so don't talk about anybody you don't want to hear it.
It's
Oh,
good.
we're
I'm going
live.
to see
Yeah, we
if I
live.
can go
Ain't
to my
nobody
Facebook
on yet,
page
but
and
we
share it.
live.
Go to my Facebook page. And that's under your Facebook page, Bogey?
No, that's under Johnny's Garage.
Let me go to Johnny's Garage.
Do you have it, or do I need to send you a link?
How do you spell Johnny's? IE or
No,
YS?
JOHNNYS. Johnny is capitalized, and then Garage, which is capitalized with a G.
What's your cover picture for Johnny's right now?
That's what I'm trying to go look at real quick.
Yeah. You changed.
Johnny's Garage. The picture's got Death Row on it.
Love
Really?
it.
Yeah.
Really? I'm on there. Okay.
Hey man, we got 3 people on here already. I guess with Bobby looking at it, that made us our third person with me, you, and him.
There you go. Heck yeah, man. Doing it tonight.
All right, we
You
got
may have
people.
to send me the link. It takes me to a music page.
Yeah, there's a
I
couple of them. Hold on 1 second. Let me get you this. Copy. All right, I sent it to you.
so got it. All right, join group. And I see you, and I'm going to face. Look at me looking down. See if I can share it on my page.
Heck yeah, somebody with some real friends that can beef up our account here.
I don't know. We got to bring Bobby on all the time. We got 4 people watching us already.
Heck
I
yeah,
love,
man. Yeah.
I love that. Let's go.
I Man, we got Mike Stover. We got Alvin Tucker. We got Juanita Ten. Bobby, do you know Juanita?
I'm not sure if I do. I may.
She's the one that makes all the outfits out of Atlanta.
I need to know her because I'm thinking about getting some new outfits.
All right,
I haven't had
Juanita,
new
I'm going to
outfits in
send
20
him
years.
your link.
So that
Please.
answered my question of whether Bobby's still wrestling or not, but you're still working.
I can. I have. I did 2 matches this year, and I did 3 matches this year. 2 singles matches and a uh a deal, one of those tag things or a battle royal. I did a battle royal. I did. Yep.
Okay. Where are you working at?
I did the Love Alive charity with Pope in Jacksonville. I did the show down in Fort Lauderdale, and I did a show up and I'm in Florida, so I did another show in Central Florida, in the Central Florida area. I've also wrestled uh, periodically outside of the U.S. for a promotion called All Caribbean Wrestling with JB Cool and Strongman, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, over in
Okay.
Bahamas. So I've been around. I mean, I wrestle when I need to.
There you go, man. That's good.
All right,
Now, go ahead, Bo.
I was going to say we got to start this off right, Death Row. I'm going to let you introduce this thing tonight.
Are we ready?
We ready?
All right. Johnny's Nation. Here we are going live. We got myself, Death Row. We got John Bogey, and we got the illustrious Bobby Sanford, the Superman. We all worked together back with Georgia Championship Wrestling and other promotions around, but we want to call everybody in to come and see a good show tonight.
Well,
Oh, that was lackluster as hell.
It's
I
going to be great. It's going to be great.
will tell you what. I'm going to spice it up a little. I am going to say the world renowned, most famous man out of Florida, Mr. Bobby Sanford himself, the Dancing King. He comes down that ramp, has that hat, them lights hitting it. I'll put it to you this way. I forgot about Disco Inferno for a minute when I was watching Bobby.
Hey, you're right. You're right.
That would have been one hell of a match to have Bobby Sanford versus Disco Inferno, a dance off.
Yeah, I would have
uh,
won
You would
the
have won,
dance
of
off thing.
course.
let me tell you this way. Let me tell you. So, all the wrestlers that my kids were around, because they used to come to all the shows with me, Bobby is one of the only ones they remember by name. They know who Bobby Sanford is.
All you guys, I love it. I
I'm
love
telling you,
it.
Bobby, he just told you right there that you're one of the ones people wanted to know. Where is he? What happened to him? So we got to start it off right. Uh, we're going to talk about your beginnings. We're going to let everybody know when and where you started because GCW wasn't that far after your start.
No, it wasn't. It actually wasn't.
GCW, you said you started in 2001. So pretty
Yes,
much right after your training, you headed up toward us.
I did. I had such a good time. I started in 2001 down in Fort Pierce, Florida, at the Florida Wrestling Alliance, where my trainers were Cliff Anderson and Terry Anderson, Cliff Sheets, who passed away not a couple years ago, a few years ago, and Terry Davis. They were brothers, of course. Terry Anderson and Cliff Anderson, and also training under the late Dave Johnson, Dirty Dennis Allen, a few other guys there in the South Florida area. It was 2001 when I started May, and I stayed there until uh, late uh, late August when I went back to college. Went back to college, I was fully trained. Well, as far as doing the bumps and learning to wrestle and not the psychology part, I didn't have all that down. But I would call Terry, and Terry, I would get booked in different places. I'd be booked in Brunswick, Georgia, booked in Jacksonville, booked in McClenny, booked in some North Florida areas, and I would talk to Terry, and he'd give me advice and tell me who to call. And in 2003, right around the time right before I hooked up with GCW, I got a chance to meet and train with none other than the incomparable, the man himself, from Portland to Maine, from Portugal to Spain, all points in between, the one and only the rocker Marty Jannetty. And me and Marty, we trained together until he made his rocker reunion debut or return back on Raw in March of 2005. I think it was March 19th, 2005. Me and Marty, I drove him to Raw, and then we went to SmackDown the next day. On Raw, he wrestled with Shawn Michaels against La Resistance. And then on SmackDown, Marty Jannetty wrestled against Kurt Angle.
I just watched that match. That's still a hell of a match.
Oh man, he was good. And Marty and I actually, I was sparring with Marty, and we had a match in Valdosta, Georgia, prior to him wrestling Kurt. And him and I had a match to kind of set up that match with Kurt. And beautifully as it would go, when he went to Kurt in Savannah, Georgia for SmackDown, Kurt really went with a lot of the stuff that Marty had suggested. So that's kind of how that deal went down. And we had a great time when he returned to SmackDown. And he was actually re-signed right after that.
Is that how you hooked up GCW? Was because of Marty Jannetty?
I hooked up. I think Marty had something to do with it. I actually ended up connecting with Chris Stevens, who was the he was out of he was Marty connected me with Chris, and Chris was Marty connected. Chris and Marty knew each other through Jerry Oates, and Chris was traveling back and forth to Columbus. I hooked up with Chris, who was working in Gold's Gym. He was the general manager, and we connected. I thought Chris was a real cool dude, and him and I connected. We started traveling to GCW together. At Georgia Championship Wrestling, my first night there, I just remember going in, and I remember watching video that Chris had given me. See, back then we had to look at tapes. I don't think we had YouTube yet, or it wasn't that popular. You couldn't find everything on YouTube. And I remember watching, going, wow, that's excellent. I would love to work this promotion. And getting the opportunity, GCW was the first place that I worked where you were working on a weekly basis. You had enough time to do your match and learn. I really, really learned how to wrestle and how to work in GCW because you could hear the crowd and you could try things out to see what worked. And so hooking up with Chris Stevens, going to GCW on a weekly basis and really working and being featured and working with some good guys. You and I, Bogey, we worked quite a few times. Death Row, you and I worked a few times. I got a chance to work you as a big guy. I worked some big guys in
Well, there
GCW.
were some big guys in GCW. I wasn't
Yes.
the biggest.
Well,
I was
No,
not
Bull
the biggest
Buchanan
by
was there.
far.
it doesn't help that GCW was comprised of WCW, WWF at the time, WWE, whatever it was, TNA. I mean, there was so many major companies feeding into us that the people who were nobodies seemed like somebody.
Oh, right. I remember we had Sonny Siaki and Disco Inferno and Primetime Elix Skipper. Um, everybody. MVP, who I knew from South Florida, Hassan was there, and he was in Deep South at the time. Tranisha, I remember we had Rosie, Lex Luger. Everybody was popping through there at some point because WCW just kind of ended and was restarting with the WWE thing. It was a place to be.
Was it
Yeah.
intimidating at all to you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, for me, it was exciting, man. I mean, I was excited to be there and to be featured as one of the 5 matches that GCW was hosting. It was exciting. I look forward to it every week to see who I was working and to see how we can put things together and really get an opportunity to change my character going from I started out as Mr. Education. You know, when I came out in GCW, I was Mr. Education. I had the cap and gown, the blue outfit, and at some point Jerry Oates was like, "Hey man, maybe we need to lose that." Chris also told me to lose it. So when I became a heel and started working with Bad Company, me, Chris Stevens, David Young, and the source, Greg Brown, I dropped the cap and gown, got a few new outfits, and started working as a heel and getting over and learning how to put things together. Spent a lot of time with Eric Watts putting things together, and that's kind of how that went. It was awesome.
Well, I got one question. Scotty Beach had a really big thing in one of your interviews. Do you remember the go stand in the corner interview? When Greg Brown told him to go stand in the corner?
I don't. I don't. I don't.
It was all of y'all standing up there, and he comes in and says, "Source, I'm ready to join. I'm going to show you." And first off, Greg Brown said, "First off, go stand in the corner." And nobody believes me that Scotty went and stood in the corner till the end of the interview.
I remember it. Yeah.
But also, you had another. We talked about it earlier. Now I can alliterate to what I was talking about. I didn't want you to have to think about it. I want the memories. We had a match. It was me, Eric, and he's gonna hate me, Heath.
Heath Miller.
We were going against you and Hot Like Lava. And
3-way tag.
And at the end of the match, I turned on Eric and hit him with the belt.
Woo!
Now, when I told you that was one of the most lucrative times ever because I was fixing to. Some people don't call Eric a superstar because of who he was, how he came in. But he has a mind for the business, and we could have took this a long way. So I turned heel on him. Crowd hated me. I got to work with you in that match. But that was also his first night coming in, Mr. Death Row up on top. That's when he come out from under the ring and chokeslammed Eric through the table.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Well, Eric made me come to the arena early. So
Oh,
I
wow.
actually got under that ring at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, that's crazy.
Stayed until the end of that main event when I come out. I couldn't feel my legs.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. You had such a great look too, with the hair and the paint or the colors in the hair and the eyes. It was scary looking. And Eric did have a good mind. I think I turned heel because of something Eric had me do with, and God rest his soul. Also, was it Damian Steele?
Damian Steele.
Damien
AJ
Steele, yeah.
Steele's brother, where I
Yep.
came out and he was wrestling Chris or somebody, and I super kicked him and hit him with a lock or something and rolled out of the ring where I should have put the guy Chris on top of him or something. Yeah, I spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time talking to Eric about ankles. So you're right, Bogey. You're right.
Well, Eric's who brought me in, right, over
Yeah.
there. So Jerry was not a fan of mine at all. And so when Eric took over the card and started calling,
Yes.
he called me, and he only had one question for me. He said, "Are you in shape?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm in shape." He said, "Good. I need you here tomorrow night." And
Damn.
that was and that was me, and him telling me to be there early, and then me climbing under that ring. So
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. So I will say this about Bobby. This is something I tell people all the time. I wrestled for 23 years, and in 23 years, I only ever had two black eyes. You were one of them. Yeah, when we had our match, and I know it wasn't intentional, or I never was mad or anything, but it's like I get hit so much, and
Oh God.
then all of a sudden, like, bam, where'd that black eye come from?
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Oh
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
oh yeah. But it just so getting beat up as much as we get beat up, we remember those. Right? It's like, man, I have been hitting that eye 1,000 times. Why
Oh
did it
my
turn
gosh.
black this time? Right? And so, but yeah, we had a really good match over there. This was back in the old arena, you know,
Yes.
and
Well,
we had a dynamite match, dude. It was those days were fun. Like you said, you had time not only to tell your story, but you had time to learn who you were and how to express that to the audience.
that's
It was
exactly.
good.
I think for a lot of guys and a lot of people, when you were working a show, uh, you're out there. A lot of times now they got 5 minutes to work a match, and if you're on TV, you got to stick to what the TV time is, and they're
Yeah,
not
some
working as many house shows. But on the indies, when you're working, especially in front of a crowd like GCW, where we had nice crowds, you get an opportunity to learn how to work, what they respond to, what the crowd is listening. You're listening. You're working with somebody who's also listening, what they're responding to, what works, what doesn't work, how to put it all together. And it's really an opportunity for that they don't get now. Young guys don't get for you to really figure out how to piece it together. And then we were on TV. So I used to tell people I was actually famous in Columbus, Georgia. Me and Chris had stopped at the gas station, and it was shocking because I walked into the gas station, and the gas station attendant goes, it's you," and I'm like, "It's me." "Yes, yes, Bobby Sanford," and I'm like, "Well, what?" And Chris is like, "We're on TV here, dude." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think anybody watched."
You
But
could also probably contribute that to me because I was putting posters in every gas station there was.
that was yes, yes. That's part of it. You putting those posters in the gas stations, and probably when I walked in, I don't know if they had a poster, but he was like, "It's you," and I'm like, "Huh?" But they probably had a poster in there somewhere, and I was on the poster.
oh wow.
I still have a roll of posters somewhere because every time they gave me posters to put out, I tried to save one.
I got a couple of the
And
posters.
and the thing is you got like um, Sean Evans, Ted Allen, Damian Steele. I mean,
Ted
all
Allen,
all
yes.
these people that are no longer with us, and I'm sitting there, and my face is on the same card with all these guys. And I consider these guys really good workers and really good because I learned from everybody there.
I did
Well,
too.
Ted Allen was a WrestleMatic. Even in his later years,
Yeah.
he was still a WrestleMatic, man. He would go in there and catch, can, and just, he would stick to the center of the ring,
Yes.
and he would just go, man. He knew his stuff, and yeah, I really enjoyed Ted and working around Ted and working with Ted.
Me too. I got an opportunity. to wrestle with him in Valdosta and some parts of other areas in Georgia, Hazelhurst. I'd wrestled all over the place at the time, but running into the wrestler Ted Allen and learning and listening, I had so many people that I'd worked with and learned from. We talked about this earlier, Bogey. I was around Bullet Bob Armstrong and Steve Armstrong, as well as the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express. Um, so many of the guys who had been on TV that were still in the area and were working, and you were learning from. Tully Blanchard, Missy Hyatt. Oh man, Missy Hyatt was a riot. I remember hanging out with Sherry Martell and her husband about a few months before she passed away, and that was right after a GCW show. So there were people, that we got, and these were real stars. Like these guys were on TV at the time when the late '80s, the early '90s,
They were on TV. They were on covers of magazines. They were
magazines.
making commercials, and back then commercials were more localized. So they
Action.
would be doing commercials in different areas and stuff. Um, I'm so happy that you talked about that because that's something that Bogey and myself have talked about on here so much is how blessed we were to come into wrestling when we did. And everybody you're naming, those are the people that we worked with that helped teach us, helped make us who we were as wrestlers. It's why me and Bogey used to tag against Scott and Steve, or Scott, Steve and Bob, or Steve and Bob. I mean, we spent good portion of the early part of our career was us wrestling against Armstrongs. Then I meet up with Robert Gibson, and I go to work with Robert, and I stayed with Robert for years. And Robert is like a wrestling encyclopedia. It's like if you,
Absolutely.
yeah, all you got to do is keep your ears open around him. You've got to learn something. And so, yeah, I mean, those same people, help shape and fashion, who we were as wrestlers. And feel very fortunate that we came in during that time.
Absolutely.
I had a title belt early. It was 94, 95, something. No, probably about 96. Um, and they said, yeah, your manager will be here tonight. We're putting a manager with you. And none other than Sensational Sherry herself.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the dressing room talking to her, and I'm just listening, and then I watch how she did everything in the ring. I'm just a young pup back then. I didn't know nothing. I'll claim I did to anybody that doesn't know it, but I didn't know nothing, and I took that time to sit there and listen.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I miss is having that opportunity to sit down and just listen as these legends, Hall of Famers, download knowledge and information on us. Where I've been in so many cars with different people and just riding along. Of course, I rode with Marty Jannetty for the longest, and
No,
drove him.
you drove Marty. You
I
drove
drove,
Marty.
I drove Marty. I drove Marty for the longest, and we had some good times, and I learned a lot from driving him, watching him, and listening to him. Um, Riding with other people as well. That being in the car and hitting the road. Where nowadays a lot of times guys don't get a chance to really hit that road like we were hitting the road. I mean, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Philadelphia, just a number of places just to get around and learning how different styles work together. I enjoyed, I was a little guy. I was about 200 pounds, maybe 195, and I was working Death Row, and I was also working a guy named, I think it was Scott. I don't know what Scott's last name was, but a big guy. He was about 260, 6'3", 6'4", Scott. And then I'd also work guys like Loverboy Lee Thomas and Bogey. So people that were around my size as well. But you have to learn how to work. Marty would say you got to learn how to work a big man. You got to learn how to work somebody your size. And that's the significance of watching. And I watch guys now Shawn Michaels could work big man, little man, somebody smaller than him, and still have a great match. And I watch guys like Carmelo Hayes or Christian now, um, Christian Casanova, Carmelo Hayes work guys who are bigger than him, guys who are his height, guys his size, and still pull out great matches. And that's a skill set that I even watch guys on the indies. It takes to be able to have a match and you see yourself booked on the card and go, I can have a good match with this person. That takes a lot of skill. And a lot of the young guys nowadays, especially, they only want to work somebody who works a certain style. Oh, well, I don't want to work him. He works a different style than I work. I don't know how to work him. You got to figure it out how to put anybody over and how to figure out how to have a great match with guys who work a different style. Big man, powerhouse, you know, working. If you're going in there and you're working Yokozuna, how are you going to pull that off? And that's one of the things that I learned at GCW. And we had time to learn it. It wasn't like you're going out there, you got 5 minutes. No, you got 10, 15 minutes to really put it together.
Well, see,
No.
you also had the death knell of a wrestler. You were small, and you came in at the right time that some of the smaller people will come in. Because if you would have come in 3 to 4 years earlier, you would have been pushed aside a lot. Because I know I was being small. I always got, well, you're too small for this one. Then they started throwing me against people like Terry Gordy and all these big guys. And like you say, you have to learn to work. Both Martin and I, we had to work against a guy from Puerto Rico that didn't know any English.
Oh gosh.
So everything was feel and look.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
and then we had a guy that was from Japan that didn't speak English. He went out there and pulled a main event match out of that kid because the kid understood the way you stand is what you're doing.
That was with Syndicate. That was with Syndicate. So this guy comes from Japan with no translator, no nothing. And of course, they want to put him in the match. And he had been wrestling, I think, with Noah over in Japan. So this guy's a talent, And so when we're getting ready to set up our match, I just point at him. I can't speak to him, so I just point at him, and I point at my left leg. He gives me a thumbs up. So then I point at myself, and I just do this, and he's like, understood. We go out, and every time I would throw him off of me, he would scramble to my left leg every time. He'd go right back to my left leg. And so he just kept attacking my left leg, and we had a beautiful match. It was we get through at the end of the match, we come out, and we just told one hell of a story. True David versus Goliath. And he was trying to chop this tree down, and I wouldn't let him. And I'm getting madder and madder at him, and he's just relentless. And so the next week, he comes back, and he has to wrestle one of the other talents. And after that match, that guy comes to me, and he's like, "How in the hell did you wrestle him? He can't speak any English. I couldn't talk to him." And I just turned around, I looked at him and said, he don't know how to speak English, but he knows how to wrestle. You should have tried that.
Did you try wrestling? I love that. Did you try wrestling him? That might work.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, that brings me to my next thing. See, I do make lists.
Look at you. Got a list.
I don't. Everything's off the cuff with me.
And, well, the thing is Bobby, I don't know whether to call you Senator, Commissioner, Mister. I don't know whether to call you. What do we call you? You have went through wrestling. You made it to the top of wrestling. Then you went into the political area, which is just like a wrestling match.
Well, one of my good friends calls me the Honorable. I laugh. Yeah, in Florida, I have been a state representative. I've been a state senator. I've been a county commissioner. I've done some really cool things in the world of politics and being in an elected office. And I'll tell you this, the tie into wrestling is learning how to know where your stage is, knowing how to speak to an audience, and knowing how, you got to do work too. Right. You actually have to do the job. But when you campaign, it's almost like cutting a promo, right? You have to have a speech that moves people. There's no uh, there's no way people are going to vote for you if you can't go out there and give them a promo and tell them what they want to hear. And I mean, there are people who don't cut good promos or don't give good speeches that get elected, but the best ones to get elected are all those ones who stand out there and are able to articulate their message, be great orators. And my daughter, who's 7, has started, doing oratorical competitions already, because I think it's necessary that you move people by the word of mouth, by tongue. That's the difference between, I'm not going to call out any specific wrestlers, but I'll tell you this: The Rock will sell out a crowd, not because, and he does. People underestimate the fact that he's really a darn good worker, but he delivers on that microphone. When he gets up there and he says, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," finally, The Rock has come back to wherever he's at. And you like pancakes? Well, pancake yourself about this ring. It's the emotion connected to words. Maya Angelou says that words, well, somebody like Maya Angelou, words can be flat on a page, but we as people give them life. So we give words life, and that's how I've ended up excelling in the world of politics.
Well, we had talked earlier today, and you said you kind of kept your wrestling career hidden from it.
I did.
Was there because there was that because there was a bad thing with wrestling at the time, or you just didn't want people to judge you because you were some musclehead?
Right. Well, I wanted people to find out who I was first, and as an intellectual, as somebody who has earned countless degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in public relations from Florida A&M University. I was a graduate. I was an athlete, Scholastic Athlete of the Year 2 times, Sportsmanship Athlete of the Year, Arthur Ashe Jr. Academic All-American, and I'd earned a couple scholarships, both academic and athletics, while I was at Florida A&M University. Went on to Florida State University, where I had obtained a master's degree in urban and regional planning, and was an urban planner or a city planner down in Palm Beach County, or in the city of West Palm Beach. And then coming with knowing my ties into the world of professional wrestling, I kind of gotten out of it to an extent, or separated the world of wrestling from my professional career. When I ended up in politics, based on who I was politically, right? My acumen, I didn't want to bring anything with me, and using that to kind of get to my sticking point of being great at what I do academically, not athletically. My background didn't use anything as a crutch for people to fall in love with me as a person, and as somebody who's in the academic world, as opposed to the character that I had, the larger than life character that I had the opportunity to portray inside and sometimes outside of the ring. So that was a portion of it. Plus, let me just tell you, in case I wanted to wrestle, I didn't want to be known as the wrestler who was also a politician getting in the ring, because I'd seen the wrestlers who were political, like who were politicians, and I saw some of them work, and they got on the show because they were a politician, right? I don't need that to be a crutch. When somebody gets in the ring with me, they're getting in there with the real deal. Someone who, even now, although I don't work as much, if I were to work and get serious and consistent, even at my age, I don't believe in, people can debate this if they want, and I can test them out in the ring if they like. I don't think there's 10 wrestlers right now active in the state of Florida that aren't signed to WWE who are better than me. There's not 10, and there's hundreds now. When I started, you guys, it wasn't everybody and their mom wasn't a wrestler. But now there's hundreds of wrestlers, and I can tell you, I've been in the ring with some of the young guys, and I've gone to shows. What I can tell you is, and I'm 25 years in, I can work. The difference between me and some of these guys is I know how to work. I know how to make people want to come back. If I get out there and perform, you've had a match. And my understanding is I'm not working for me. I'm working for my position on the show, on the card, and also, hey, can I sell some gimmicks? If I work first match, I'm working like I'm in the first match. If I work the last match, I'm working main event. But if I'm in the first match, guys don't realize if I'm in the first match, I'm not battling and jumping outside the ring and going over the top rope and doing moonsaults. That's not the position of first match. I know how to work my role. Now, if I'm in the last match and that's what it calls for, then I'm doing that. But a lot of guys think I know how to do this. I'm going to do it. The beauty of me being a worker is I know when to do stuff, when not to do it, what moves are necessary for what match. And a lot of young guys, and I'm not going to say young guys, a lot of the guys who've been working a while still haven't figured that part out. And I figured that out by working everything. I've been everything you can be in wrestling. I've been a promoter. I've been the ticket taker at the front door. I've been a referee. I've been a manager. I've been a ring announcer. I've been the ringside commentator. I've been everything you can do other than Boogie, what we were talking about earlier in Death Row. I have not been a ringside photographer yet. That's the one thing I don't think I've done, but I've
That's
done it.
where I started.
Look at you.
Actually, when we started, I got into wrestling before he did because to him wrestling he was a skateboarder to start with. Now, can you imagine?
Is that right? Are you kidding me?
Oh no, not at all.
And when I was going to these shows back in '93 in Wetumpka, Alabama, for a guy named Rockin' Rebel Donnie Martin, this young man was the announcer and video man for the show. He was doing a job.
I would film the show. I'd film the show, and then I would go studio and I would produce the show.
That's awesome. That's wow.
It was because the studio, I found out while we were doing it, the studio was right next door to a church, and Hector Guerrero attended that church. He was a third grade school teacher in Montgomery. And and so while we were in the midst of doing that, we actually met Hector because he was doing stuff with the kids over there at the church. And so I'm in there producing a wrestling show, but it was fun. I want to touch on something Bobby was talking about. Bobby, you learned a lot, and I remember watching you while I was in there, and you're growing. But you had the same habits and something that this young generation doesn't have. Right. So when I went into a locker room as a young wrestler and even as an older wrestler, if there was a senior wrestler in there, let's say I'm end up in the locker room with Ric Flair, right? I'm going to get as close to that man and listen to as much as I can to that guy because that guy's been there, right? And so what I saw at the end of my career, these young guys could give one flip less about somebody that's been there. They are disrespectful and they don't care. They think that they've already got it figured out. Man, I saw it on YouTube. I know how to do it. And it's like, so to any young people that end up watching this or listening to this, if you are anywhere near a veteran, don't tell them, ask them, and then listen. And you will learn a lot. And it will help your career immensely.
Well,
absolutely.
Actually, that really leads into this because with all his political career, Bobby has videos on his page where he is actually talking about wrestling. He's talking about a lot of things that he's trying to get people to learn what they're doing, do things properly, and do it very well. So he's not only taken a stand in politics, he's not only been a wrestler, now he is using the platform of becoming somebody to try to better everybody else.
I will tell you this, you're right. On both what both of you said. When I was in training in Tallahassee, Marty Jannetty would always say, Bret Hart. He said, well, y'all call him Hitman. We call him the Stiff Man, Bret Hart. We call him Bret the Stiff Man Hart. But Marty would say Bret Hart did ordinary things extraordinarily well. John, you said earlier, you talked about my drop kick.
Oh,
when I started learning how to drop kick, I started trying to drop kick to perfect it. And I would watch people who did what I thought were excellent drop kicks. I would watch Thurman Sparky Plug. Bob Holly. I thought Bob Holly had a great drop kick. I would watch Eddie Guerrero. Thought he had a great drop kick, and I try to emulate. And they would come up, they'd spring up, hit you with that drop kick, and spring off. And at some point, after drop kicking turnbuckles over and over again, I got it. My arm drags. People would watch me do an arm drag. Ron Simmons told me 2 years ago. He said, "Damn, Senator, that arm drag, you right in there." He said, "You look good." And he said that was a very deep arm drag, but I practiced that arm drag over and over again. So if I'm going to arm drag you, I'm there and I'm arm dragging. It's a float. We're floating with it. I'm going to drop kick you. We're going to hit you. And I'll do ordinary moves extraordinarily well. The new generation, they like to do that knee to the face thing or that side lariat with one leg. Everybody's doing that. If you stick to the basics, pick your clothesline up, right? When I clothesline, Bradshaw, he tries to hit guys right in there. You bring that clothesline across. People are dropping that clothesline. And I watch sometimes these newer, sometimes not newer workers work. And I go, man, I it's got to be tighter than that. You got to do ordinary things extraordinarily well to make the audience believe. And I also apologize to people if I'm wrestling you and we're at a carnival show. I apologize beforehand because I'm going to hit you because it's a carnival show and the people in the crowd are not real wrestling fans, so they're looking to see how light you are. And I'll try to be light other places, but a carnival show, we're it's a lot of chops and smacks across the back. Just be prepared.
I've done that a few times too. As a matter of fact, I think when we worked each other, we apologized to each other before we walked out there. It's like, sorry, brother, this is going to be this.
It's right. Absolutely. Well, we knew what we were doing. We were working.
That's the whole thing. If you learn how to work, and I call it working a shoot. So if I give somebody a takedown, I actually perform the takedown.
Yes, he
and
does.
if we're working, it doesn't matter, And so, you're talking about like the clothesline. That's one of my pet peeves. I hate a lazy clothesline. I have no sold clotheslines because they were lazy. I just run right through them. Man, if you want me to sell that, hit me with it. It was little things like that made the difference in an audience buying into what you were selling and not buying into anything. It's you can't just be stupid for the audience. It's like the blind ref. I would never accept a blind ref. I would tell all my refs to be straight shooters.
Yes.
If I don't get away with it, then that's my fault, right? So I need to be working for this. If I'm going to do something I shouldn't do, then I need to be doing my job and getting away with it. If you catch me, get on to me. Don't turn a blind eye.
That's it. I agree.
And that way you don't treat your audience like they're stupid. You got to take care of your audience too. So
I got a question for you, Bobby. When you were trained, the guys that trained you, and I know Marty is a fire plug. He was always ready to fight and go at it. But the guys who really trained you, were they shoot style, work style? What was their backgrounds?
Listen, I'll tell you this. It was more work style. I learned a few shoot moves when I originally started. Marty showed me some shoot stuff too. Marty showed me a lot of stuff. I spent more time, truthfully, training with Marty than I did with anybody else because we were training at some point, especially when he was up to his WWE run, we were training every day. And nobody had the time with Marty, I don't think, that I had with him. I mean, we trained 3-4 days a week, and then on the weekend he'd fly out somewhere, or I'd be driving him somewhere, and we were banging in the gym all the time. Even when we had other guys who were working with us who were training, we trained Raka Khan or Trinisha, who became,
problems.
I don't know. I mean, she got in some relationships. She was dating Heath Miller for a while, and then she was dating some other people,
Well,
and it
she
didn't
did the
pan out.
no in the business. She got involved in the business.
Yeah, but she was, she was a sweet person, just a sweet girl.
Oh
I
yeah,
never had a
yeah, no
problem with
doubt.
her in the back in
Yeah,
GCW.
Yeah,
yeah, no,
she was just a
yeah.
sweet person, and still is. I mean, she's got. I think she has a kid or two now. Um, maybe one kid. I don't know if she has one or two kids, but she just was to me, she was a volleyball player at FSU. She did the Divas contest, and she was just a sweet person. And I really enjoyed time hanging out with her and really working with her and training with her and watching her go from a person who knew nothing, like, to learning how to hit the ropes and her eyes being open to doing moves. So that was cool. I'll tell you this, back to working. I remember, and I was a little guy. I mean, I'm bigger now in terms of body mass, but I was
That's
about.
what happens when you get old, Bobby.
It
That's
does.
what
It
happens.
does. I tell my I got a dad bod now, but I would clothesline somebody, and I remember I clotheslined a big guy who was about 6'8" or 6'9", and the deal was he was going to squash me and my partner, which is fine. That's what they brought me in to do. They paid me to do that. I'm cool with it. But my shine spot was I was going to hit him with a couple clotheslines. He was going to no sell him. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna no sell a clothesline from me, you're gonna be good at no selling, because I'm hitting the ropes, and when I hit the ropes, I hit the ropes, and I'm coming off the ropes, and I throw that clothesline, and I hit him, bang, and he backs into the ropes, and I come with the second one, bang, and he almost bumps, and afterwards, I forget whatever he did to get on top. I could hear him complaining to the promoter in the back. Promoter going, why were you selling so hard? He goes, well, he was hitting me.
Yeah.
And he starts complaining to me. Now, I've been wrestling longer than this guy, and I know he was like 6'9". I don't give a damn. He goes, this was for my shine, and you out there shining on me. And I go, brother, you're 6'9". Nobody cares. Nobody cares why you back here whining. Nobody came here to listen to you whine, especially a little guy like me. And it was like a little test back then. Guys would, it was, people were a little tougher back then. But I said, get over it, right? Or do something about it. And he chose to get over it, which, I'm happy he did, because he might have been able, he might have really been able to do something. I don't know. But, you test the waters. But it was a different era. I mean, in 20, in the 20 years, 15 years since I have been very active, I hadn't been active in the last, I think I stopped in like 2011 being really active. Um, I haven't seen the level of aggressiveness that I used to see. I mean, I remember watching Vito LaGrasso smack somebody in the locker room, and I was like, oh, wow, that was different. Slapped him right in the face. And the guy goes, I'm not going to fight you. Okay, I guess.
Well, see,
I'm not going to fight you. Okay. Yeah.
going along to what you do these days, trying to teach the business, that's what kept the business honest. Because if somebody tested you and you punked out, showed your punk card, you weren't in the business that long.
No. But now they call it steel horsing. Uh, Now, if somebody gets punked, they call the police, and they call it the steel horse. Because some guy named Steel Horse here in Florida called the police at a wrestling show because he got threatened by another wrestler. So, and he
Oh
quit.
God.
Of course, he did. The Steel Horse.
And
I don't know. I never met the guy, but hey, what
That,
it is.
that happened in our time too, dude. And like me and Bogey were at a show, and this promoter slaps Billy Black, and Billy puts it on him like right there. He puts it on him, and this dude goes and calls the police. And when the police get there, he tells them that he slapped Billy, and then Billy kicked his ass. And they turn around, put handcuffs on, and said, "You slapped him. You assaulted him first. Click, click." And
I
remember
love
when
it.
he went to jail.
remember when I told you my dad came and watched the show? That was the
Yes.
show.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh
Yeah,
gosh!
my dad came to the only show ever. My dad lived in New Jersey. He drove 14 hours to get down here. And I had a show and I invited him to come watch. Now my dad is as far away from wrestling as Beethoven is from death metal. Uh he went and watched it, and he watched everything go on. And the most exciting part was the fight that happened in the locker room, that he could hear through the locker room, that the police ended up at the back door.
Oh,
And
nice.
he just said, if that's what you like, you're in it.
Wait, Bobby being from Florida, he do you know Faku and Desmond?
No,
Because
Desmond.
they
Where
were
at?
from down in Florida.
Which part?
I don't know,
I think
but
they were on the panhandle.
All right,
Desmond did.
I may have known him because I did a lot of stuff in the Panhandle in my early years.
Well, they were a couple of Samoans, and Desmond did the Spider-Man gimmick, but
No,
he
I
but
didn't
it,
know him.
but it wasn't this comic book Spider-Man. He actually had a suit that looked like a daggone spider that he would wrestle
No, 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 no,
in,
no.
and then Faku was just big boy, and he but that
No.
Well, you got to
but they
remember, he started in 2001.
oh yeah, oh God, yeah, okay.
Faku
That might
was
have been done.
So
actually,
I really
actually, he did fight coordination for Jerry Springer at one point.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they
That's
had him
wow.
doing something when the Iron Sheik was up there and some other stuff.
that
That's
was when JC Ice was the promoter or the booker for Jerry Springer. Dundee's kid
yeah.
became from
What were
PG
they? PG
13.
13.
Yeah, he became the booker for Jerry Springer and was booking. So
Wrestlers.
the Iron Sheik was actually on there 3 different times,
That's crazy.
doing different gimmicks while he was on there.
I
It's like,
remember wrestlers being on the Jerry Springer show. I remember every guy from down here that was on there, and I was like, I can't take this seriously anymore. I know these guys.
yeah, yeah,
I know
yeah.
these guys.
The sad part is you should have took it even more serious, knowing some of them.
Oh gosh.
Well, look, if Marty would have been there, he'd have took it very serious.
Oh gosh.
Like, oh, Marty's on Jerry Springer. I'm not surprised. Uh,
I wouldn't have been surprised. He was living a hell of a life
and,
as the
and
Rock.
look, and Marty's going to probably end up watching this, and I'm going to say it. He knows I got much love for him. I love Marty to death. We've had a lot of fun over the years, and so got a lot of love for Marty, but I'm going to make fun of him. It's,
Before we get off here, I got two things. There was some comments made tonight. Juanita, and I'll send you her Facebook so you can get in touch. She said, I love Disco and I made his gear, but I don't see him winning a dance-off.
That's right. He certainly would.
And then Mike Stover said, that was an amazing sound effect of Marty's music that you did earlier. So you now have done everything in wrestling except for photographer. You already said you were a chauffeur. Now you're doing music.
We did, man. We had a good time.
Bobby, I know
Marty
we can't
Jannetty.
keep you on here all night because I know you got to get to that desk chair in the morning and get to work. But what's the future hold for Bobby Sanford?
Listen, man, last weekend we did a show here in South Florida with Martin Luther King Coordinating Committee. I had such a good time. And I'll tell you this, because of my time in GCW, and I've had a lot of time here in Capital City, Coastal Championship Wrestling. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be bumping as much, but I can still bump while I can. If there's a match that's necessary, I'll get in it. But I'll be around, whether it's at some point doing something involving wrestling, continue to make wrestling better. I found out wrestling can survive without me, like many of us do. But what I did also find out is my opportunity to suspend reality and stay involved in the world of professional wrestling. And I'll always be around. I'm watching new talents. I'm watching people become great, and I want to stay and continue to be a part of it. It's such a way to get away from real life that I'll always be connected to it. I want to make sure others are connected to it because people give wrestling a bad rap. It's family oriented. It's one thing that people can come together, suspend reality, and be a family for a night. And because of that, I want to make sure that we're able to bring that to a lot of people.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Is
Well
there
said.
anybody down there that we need to look out for?
You know what? I'll tell you, I've been watching a lot of guys. Recently, when we had a show, we brought in Romeo Rosell Quevedo. Romeo's been wrestling for over 20 years now. He's still excellent. There's a guy down here who hasn't been working that long or at working that much recently, but he's one of those guys that can work with anybody. His name is Troy Hollywood. He's trained by Jay Lethal. I watched this guy, and I'm like, man, he can put some things together. Over in North Carolina, the school where Javon Evans came from, I think the next person to break or pop will be this guy named Manny Lowe. Really, really good. And then there's charismatic Chris Farrow down here in Florida. I like Adi Killmeister. He's a great wrestler down here. I'm watching so many new guys or so many young guys that I would pay to see. You know what I mean? And the list goes on and on. If you get a chance, check out Coastal Championship Wrestling, check out All Caribbean Wrestling, and then check out some of the other stuff that's happening in Florida. There's some new guys who House of Champions had the wrestling school, and they're producing some good talent. And some of them were down here with us last week. Hunter Evans, Gage Holloway, Shine Evans, and I'm impressed. Zanti Lee. The list goes on and on. Florida's got it going on, but we're here in South Florida and Mid Florida, Central Florida, where we also have the WWE Training Center, right? So there's no shortage of excellent wrestlers in Florida.
I didn't know if they still had the training center down there.
Oh yeah.
Who's teaching there now?
I believe I know Norman Smiley's down there. I also know that Matt Bloom, the A Train, is training there, training people there. Shawn Michaels, Steve Carino. Who else do I know is training people there?
There's a lot of actual wrestlers training there now.
Yeah. I think Bill
good.
DeMott is training people there. I think Bill DeMott is. I might be wrong.
He was at one point.
Back in the day, Toucan was there, Sam was there. I think Sam's gone now, unfortunately. But I knew a lot of the guys that were doing the training there back in the day. And but I'm completely out of touch now. I've been retired now for over 11 years. I'm out of touch. So but anyway, we're gonna wrap this up, man. This Bobby, has been great to hear from you. It's good to see you again. I've got a lot of love for you, man. We had a lot of fun over the years.
We did have fun. I got a lot of love for you guys too. Both of y'all. Both of you.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, we had a good time and created some lasting memories, and that's at the end of the day, that's all we got.
All right, now
we got those good memories.
All I gotta ask is, Bobby, what part of Florida are you in? Because if I get a speeding ticket, I'm coming to see you.
Don't worry. I mean, I've gotten speeding tickets too. I haven't gotten speed tickets. I've gotten tickets. I actually got a ticket too slow. But I'm in South Florida. I'm down in Palm Beach County. So whenever you want to come, if you guys want to come down, visit me.
Come down to Palm Beach. Well, look, tell Vanilla I said hello.
That's right. You're right. I saw him not too long ago. We were at a film festival together. I didn't take a picture with him, but you're right. He's here. It looks good.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he's got a lot of money invested in hair dye, but he looked good.
I don't dye my hair. I go natural. I'm all natural.
Yeah.
I love it.
Rob Van Winkle does, or Vanilla Ice definitely dyes his hair. But he looks good. I mean, he looks good.
Let me tell you, talk all you want. That man's made a 30-year career off of one song.
Ding 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 ding. Ding 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 ding.
And actually, I had to go in and watch Go Turtle Go or whatever, the Go Ninja Go. I went and watched that the other day. That actually almost beat Vanilla Ice Ice Baby just because it was in the movie.
Listen, we had a trivia one night, and somebody said, name a song, a Vanilla Ice song that is not Ice Ice Baby, and somebody on my team goes, Go Ninja Go Ninja Go. I didn't think of that one because I was like, I only know Ice Ice Baby. We're stuck, but we did trivia. We got that right. It's crazy.
Heck yeah.
It's crazy.
All right,
Gentlemen,
Johnny's
it's been
Garage.
more than amazing to have this conversation with you. Of course, I am Bobby the BS Sanford, the superstar of soul who's out of control. You can catch me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all other forms of social media. I am staying consistent and busy. And if you want to learn something about South Florida and wrestling down here, tell people, feel free to hit me up. And I do sometimes respond to my instant messages sometimes. And I'm here looking forward to continue to make this a great state of professional wrestling here in Florida.
Well, I didn't
Heck
even
yeah,
have to
man.
make him sound good. He did it on his own. See,
On his own,
see,
man.
that's what
That's that political training.
that's that.
I'm gonna
No, that's
take
that career and communication too that helps.
I'm gonna take a little bit of credit from that from those stiff shots I used to give it. But
That's right. That's right.
All right, Johnny's Garage. We want to thank y'all for hanging out. Me, Death Row, and I ain't even gonna try to top that outro he just did. But Bobby, we thank you. We love you, man.
heck
And
yeah, man.
you keep doing what you're doing. Make us proud.
Love you guys
Oh,
too. Look forward to seeing y'all soon.
yeah. Hey, you got to make it to a reunion, man.